For the first time in Euphoria, Nate Jacobs is no longer the person controlling the chaos around him. He is becoming the chaos himself. And that is what makes episode 6 feel so dangerous. Because when someone like Nate stops thinking about consequences, nobody around him is safe anymore. Not Cassie, not Maddie, not even Nate himself. This episode does not feel like the beginning of a comeback story. It feels like the beginning of a collapse. And the scariest part is that Nate can feel it happening too. Episode 6 opens with a very different energy around Nate. Usually, whenever he walks into a room, everyone else feels nervous. He is always calm, always watching, always acting like he already knows how everything will end. But this time, something feels wrong immediately. Nate looks tired, angry, distracted. Even the way the camera follows him feels different. Rue's narration almost describes him like a ticking bomb waiting to explode, and the episode slowly shows us why. Nate has spent so much time controlling other people's lives that he forgot what happens when his own life starts falling apart. Every secret, every lie, every manipulation is finally starting to push back against him. One of the most important things in this episode is how reckless Nate becomes. In earlier episodes, Nate always acted carefully. Even when he was violent or cruel, he usually stayed one step ahead of everyone else. But episode 6 shows cracks in that image. There are moments where Nate reacts emotionally instead of thinking first, and that is something we almost never see from him. You can feel his anger getting harder to control. Even simple conversations start feeling dangerous because it seems like Nate could explode at any second. And the people around him notice it too. That is the key detail many viewers may miss. The fear around Nate is changing. Before, people feared him because he looked powerful. Now they fear him because he looks unstable. The episode also does an amazing job using silence to build tension. There are scenes where Nate barely says anything, but the atmosphere feels heavy anyway. His facial expressions say more than his words. Sometimes he looks paranoid, like he thinks everyone is watching him. Other times he looks completely disconnected, almost like he is losing the ability to hide what he truly feels. That is what makes this version of Nate so dangerous. He is no longer fully in control of the mask he created. And once that mask starts breaking, the real Nate becomes impossible to predict. Another important part of this episode is how isolated Nate suddenly feels. Even when he is surrounded by people, he looks alone. The writers make it clear that Nate's power has always depended on fear and emotional control. But now the people closest to him are beginning to pull away emotionally. Some are scared of him, some are angry at him, and some may already be planning to betray him. Episode 6 keeps hinting that Nate's biggest threat may not come from outside enemies. It may come from the people who already know his secrets. That idea changes everything, because Nate built his entire life around keeping control of information. If that control disappears, his whole world falls apart. What makes this episode even darker is the way it connects Nate to his father, Cal. Nate spent years hating the man he believed ruined his family, but now the show quietly suggests something terrifying. Nate is slowly becoming exactly like him. The anger, the manipulation, the emotional emptiness. It is all starting to look the same. And deep down, Nate may finally realize it. That realization could become the thing that completely destroys him by the end of the season. By the end of episode 6, the feeling is very clear. This is not just another bad moment in Nate's life. This feels like the official start of his downfall. The control he once had over everyone is slipping away piece by piece. And once someone like Nate Jacobs starts falling, he does not fall alone. He drags everyone around him down with him. That is why this episode feels so tense from beginning to end. Because Euphoria is no longer asking if Nate will lose